From dining room to dream team, how this duo scaled their ACA agency with integrity and ice cream.
Welcome to the Modern Insurance Agent Podcast.
We're your hosts, David and Al Denning.
What happens when a millennial couple dives headfirst into the insurance world, scales $1 million remote business, and decides to share the journey with the world?
You get the Modern Insurance Agent.
Here, we reveal the messy, magical, and sometimes hilarious realities of building a business and a life you love.
From traveling the globe to building remote teams. Yes, even working remotely on top of a mountain in the Philippines. We're sharing insights, strategies, and plenty of laughs to help agents and entrepreneurs succeed.
Because, let's face it, success isn't just about hitting numbers.
It's about designing a life that works for you.
So let's dive in and build something extraordinary together.
Welcome back to the Modern Insurance Agents Podcast. Today's episode is all about building with integrity, scaling the right way, and doing it as a dynamic husband and wife team, which Elle and I are big fans of. But first, before we dive in, let's tell you guys where you guys can get all the resources, the show notes, all the goodies we got together for you, as well as how to connect with our guest. If you guys go to jumpstartgonow.com/podcast, you can grab everything that we got for you guys. So head on over, grab those as we get ready to dive in. So my guests are Brandon and Charity Elliott, founders of InsureBoost and ACA Training Ground. They started their health insurance business from the dining room table and turned it into a growing agency serving 27 states with a thriving Facebook group and community for agents. We're talking compliance, client trust, and content that works, keeping it fun along the way. So let's get into it. Welcome to the show, Charity and Brandon.
Hello.
Thanks for inviting us on.
Absolutely, guys. I'm excited to dive in, especially kind of covering some of the story, especially because I think it'll remind me from some of your early story of Elle and I's early days as well, of what that looked like sitting around the dining room table starting a business, which that's exactly what Elle and I did also. So, Charity, tell us a little bit. What made, or for both of you guys, what made you originally walk away from the banking jobs, the captive agency, to build something of your own? What did all that look like in the beginning stages? Charity? Possibly.
Sometimes,
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
I know Brandon. Go ahead.
I started in this industry, and boy, I've started over in this business, I think 3 times now. So first got my license in 2009. That didn't work out. Let that lapse. In 2015, I revisited going back in the insurance industry with someone we knew from church. And, we had recently gotten married and working at grocery stores at the time. And I went into insurance and, working on the evenings and weekends and trying to do what I could. Charity transitioned to working at the bank. And so I did insurance for a little while. Went captive with a carrier for 3 years to really learn the ins and outs of the ACA industry specifically. In kind of like a virtual call center setting. So from day one, really learning how to just be virtual and remote and be able to help people from wherever we are. And so that has echoed through the last 10 years of our business, helping people over the phones. And Charity eventually joined me. You want to chime in?
Yeah, I was working full-time at the bank, and not only was I working 40 plus hours, I was doing all Brandon's paperwork at the time. And so that was like 2 full-time jobs, especially during open enrollment season. And then I guess, I don't remember what year it was, but it was the year that CMS declared that you have to have separate logins. You can't have anybody log in for you. And that's when my push was, I need to get my license so we can do it compliantly.
I think it was 2018.
Yeah. So, and I think in 2019, after I got my license, I was still helping them with the paperwork. I was like making all the sales for the bank. And I realized I was getting these meager commission bonuses or something, whatever, how they call it the day, sales bonuses. And I realized that I got tired of working for corporate at the time. So I was like, if I quit and just leave the job, then I can work for myself and earn more income. And that was the time that Brandon left the captive agency and I left my job, and we worked for 3 months without pay. So thankfully we were out of debt and we had savings. So we were prepared for that transition, but it was pretty interesting.
We had to prepare
go
for
through
that.
Yeah. So, and then with that, we were able to not only buy back our time, which I was spending 40 plus hours at a bank, it's soul sucking being there at corporate. We were able to triple our income, just by leaving. But it wasn't without grinding and pushing through and being consistent for the next 3 or 4 years, though. So,
which I think a lot of people listening can relate to that, is, the beginning being very scary, unknown for themselves, or betting on themselves for sure is a part of that. And so, you talked about how your business grew right around the, dining room. What were some early signs that this could work, and what would that look like early days, especially working together, and growing something together?
Oh boy. I remember the first year. You want to tell yours about first?
Well, an early sign that told me that I could do something with this is I was captive with this carrier in this call center setting, and, I'm working from home. We're all working from home, so we don't really know each other. The other agents that are working for the same agency. But I would provide value advice, answer questions. The other agents, I'm not getting anything for that. I'm just building others up. Mm-hmm. And I'm just helping others get better at their jobs so they can sell more. And, I'm selling all that I can. Like, 2 of us working together, like me just full on sales all day long, and then she's catching up on all the paperwork at night. So I can't sell anymore anyway. I'm just helping these others be more successful. But anyway, the agency manager was starting to get unsolicited feedback of how helpful I've been, and just hearing stories of, what I'm doing, this or that, saying this or that, just helping them along. I'm not getting anything for that. But the agency manager, started, talking to me, and, wow, I listen. When someone's telling me unsolicited about your character or just how you are, when you have nothing to gain from it.
So when the very first year that we did this, we tag teamed, and we were working with another agent, and we literally worked to midnight, 1:00. Brandon and I just tag teaming, these things. And, and over the course of years, we had to learn to work together, and we learned very quickly what our weaknesses were and what our strengths were. And then we were able to figure out how did we work together the best. I was very super efficient with paperwork and, simple, let's keep up with life, but he was very good at sales. And so we had to just learn to work around that. And then I was able to learn how to do the insurance and insurance world, ACA, just by listening to him talk to clients. So it was evident. And, I know a lot of people say, I don't know how you work with your spouse. I would have killed him by now. And I'm not saying it didn't come close, but, but we had to learn to adapt because, I think that's where you got to understand, you got to learn to adapt and work with your spouse and just learn to complement one another. And I think that's really what's really our strengths, is that we know how to complement one another and change quickly. So when we were working at the table, we were just bouncing off each other ideas and all these things. How can we do this? How can we do better? And it just evolved from there. So.
Yeah, no killing your spouse to get the life insurance policy in place first, right? So,
no, I liked him after he got it, so I think it worked. No, just kidding.
Just kidding.
No.
But no, I mean, Elle and I hear that all the time too. But for us, it's just kind of confusing because like I like working with my best friend and my spouse, and we got different skill sets, just like you just talked about, having different skill sets and helping in different ways, but supporting as a team and growing. And when you're a couple like that and building a business together, I think it's one of the most fun and challenging things in the world. But also, it's something you get to pass, push through those barriers and challenges together. And I think only furthers relationship as you guys also getting ready to take on the next challenge for running the business and as parents. So that's exciting as well. And I'm sure it'll be like, we grew an agency, kids, nothing, right? So, but no, I'm excited for you guys. And also, yeah, like I said, that reminds us a lot about those stories of like, Elle's very different skill sets than mine, and we complemented each other and grew together. And, that's really, really exciting, especially for everything you guys have now accomplished, looking back from that beginning and being like, oh man, we built that out of nothing, and look what we've built today. Right. And so, and I guess part of that is like coming out from that behind the scenes and everything as well. You guys went from kind of behind the scenes to building a very visible brand. And what made you decide to go all in on that and content and everything there?
I think we've been on the cusp of growing big for a while, and I think you just kind of hit that wall of it takes more time and energy to bust through that next wall. You're close mentally, you're close, and you just keep doing what you're doing and expanding on what you're doing and providing more value and going to industry conferences, I think, gave us a big push, because when you get a little bit higher in this industry, like, it really comes down to who you know, not just what you know. You could be the greatest agent, but if nobody knows you, you could be helping a lot of clients, don't get me wrong, and we still do, absolutely. But I've grown a passion for helping agents and pushing for that as part of our brand. So that's part of creating the Facebook group. I don't even know how old is that group now?
It's about 2 years now. But to interject a little bit, because we were at the time already have been working from home about 3 or 4 years at the time. And we were constantly talking about how it just felt lonely to be in this industry because we didn't know anyone in our industry. And we felt like we couldn't like bounce ideas off of people, how to grow our business, how to improve and everything. And then it just like when we went to these conventions or conferences, it clicked. Like there's other people like us who are doing the exact same thing. But how do we bring them all together in one spot? And that's when, I was a little skeptical at first. I'm not going to lie. Brandon has big ideas and sometimes they go over my head. So when he started a Facebook group, I was like, oh no, you just started something else. But it grew really fast because I think a lot of people needed a space to come together to talk about these things and to relate and to talk about the frustrations of the industry or the wins of the industry. And Brandon has such a great gift of just bringing people together. And, it revitalized me a lot because, sometimes when you feel isolated in your job, you feel like you're on your own island, and that just brought us so many people doing the exact same thing with us, so.
Another thing that launched us forward was it clicking in my head about a year and a half ago, that collaboration was better than trying to learn everything myself. Other people are already experts at what they do. So if we just work together and collaborate and bring our ideas together to form the vision, the dream team, I can't do everything myself. I don't have enough time in the day, not only just to be an expert at everything, but to actually do everything. I can't be everything to everybody and do everything. Like, you hit a limit, and we were at the limit already with how many clients we personally had and were managing, servicing. If we wanted to grow any further and help agents, the agent can, like, how? And it's by growing beyond just ourselves.
Well, in the early years, we didn't have, other than our agency manager, we didn't have anyone to ask questions. We had to literally figure out how to get people to get their SEP, how to get people to get qualified for the insurance. When it doesn't, what does it kick them off the Medicaid? What are the limits? And we were just like figuring it out as we go. And it took us years to accumulate that knowledge. And now you have a whole bunch of people coming in who are in the same boat as we were. And we wanted to bridge that gap to say, hey, here's the knowledge that it took us 8 years to get to, so, and that's what Brandon's vision was for ACA Training Ground.
I love that, being able to help people avoid the pitfalls, get to the success faster, and being able to give back in that knowledge share. And also love, obviously, a big fan of communities, especially bringing people together on social, and being able to kind of bring both colleagues for, yes, that knowledge share, sometimes venting, but ultimately productive to the knowledge share side, right? And help support. And that community is really powerful, especially if we work a lot today remotely or at home, like, hey, we get to be around other people in that capacity versus, at the end of the day, like you said, Brandon, like, you don't know what you don't know, and you can't be an expert in everything. So it's, hey, let's leverage that collaboration, mentorship, knowledge share, and let's grow and succeed together, right, as a part of that. So that's really amazing what you guys have put together for that community and the value you bring. I love seeing what you guys teach and help with there, and I think that's really powerful, especially in an industry that sometimes operates in the shadows, sometimes operates in the you can't know what I know type arena. And so it's really powerful, and I think more and more we'll see just the industry embrace that, especially as a lot of the younger ones coming in this generation are used to connecting and sharing and like the community aspect so much, that I'm really excited for what you guys have grown, and know it's just the beginning even of that community and of where it's going also. So tell me a little bit though on what kind of role has videos and content and tech kind of played into, both from like either the client side or helping the agent side and your agency?
It did not take us very long when we went independent and started our business over again, that technology was going to be needed to help a volume of clients. You got 100 clients, you can manage that. You get from 100 now to 500 clients, and all of a sudden open enrollment looks very different. And without technology, it's very difficult to have all those conversations with all those different people. Personalized bulk texting has been a game changer for us. Like, to, there's some prep work involved, and running quotes ahead of time and getting the little pieces of info you want to be put in there. But then you can send these messages out 50 at a time, and when people are available and good and ready to respond, all the responses start coming back, and now you're signing up, renewing 20 clients a day, because you're leveraging technology and you're being more effective with your time.
I love that. That's a great example. And I love, incorporating the texting side, like you mentioned, especially when you get into the under 65 and the ACA and what you guys are talking about, like millennials and Gen Z don't answer the phone for their own friends. So I love that you're like, hey, let's go to what they do respond and how they do interact and engage in texting, and also more efficient for you guys, right? Just in a great example of leveraging technology to work smarter, not harder, right? And so with that, tell me a little bit about like the social media aspect. I know you guys have done the group. You guys use social at all as far as for your marketing or for your client acquisition, or for like what you show your agents also how to use or leverage that at all?
I'm sorry, I got distracted. I think Charity dropped off.
I think she did. Maybe she'll come back and join us. So
All right.
she's like, Brandon's got this. So,
All right, run that one by me again.
So, as far as like, what kind of effect has like social media had on your business, beyond, the group? Obviously, you have the group and are helping agents out and doing a lot with them there. What other uses or impact has that had on your business through social?
So this may surprise some people, but we have largely stayed away from the social media as far as bringing in clients. We have leveraged our social media to talk to agents and build up, professionally, our connections and networking with other professionals that, we can be a mutual benefit to, or, so we've leveraged social media more professionally up to this point, to really expand our network.
Which makes sense, right? And especially because, like you mentioned earlier, you could only write so much business at a time. And then that was like, hey, I want to grow helping agents, grow my team, grow my agency. And that's exactly a use of social, is being able to grow the team and the agency and bring them on and see who you are, how you help agents be like, I want that. I want Brandon to show me what he does, and Charity to show me on that side as well. So I love that you've used it in that capacity, because I think a lot of people, and from when we talk about social, think about it just as client acquisition, but it's also agent acquisition and team growth aside, and showing your culture and who you are too. So speaking of the hiring side, like who was your first hire, and how did you know it was time to start bringing additional team members on?
We were getting swamped, and it was taking too long to renew all of our clients.
Well, I felt like I was his first hire almost. And then it started getting to the point where we were both at capacity of what we can do. So we did try the VA route, and the typical overseas ones, but then the CMS changed the rules again. So we had to we have to go away from the VA route, and we did hire someone else. And then, but that was temporary because she was pregnant and things like that. So she eventually left. But then we finally, in the middle of November, we were crying. I felt like I was ready to quit. And it was awful. I was like, I can't keep up with this anymore. This is brutal. We've been doing this for 9 years. I can't do this anymore at this level, at this capacity. And just so happened, just the right person came in at the right time, and she saved our butts, and was able to help us get all of our clients renewed and keep our sanity as well. And at the time we were at home still, and, she was coming into her home every day. And, so it was very interesting to hire someone who was coming into your home to work on your whole business, to help you with that. So. And just so obviously, being at the point where I can't do this anymore, I'm about to break down might be a key indicator. It's time to have some additional help there. What kind of advice would you give to people as far as being able to, I guess, realize that point maybe right before the breaking point, and putting that in place? What would you have maybe done a little bit earlier? Or is that what you ultimately think it probably takes, is just getting to that point before we've got to make some changes? I mean, I would personally hire an off season, there's a enrollment season. So I would not hire in the middle of that. And then there has been a few people we came across that were like, oh, I'm answering calls at 10 p.m. at night. I'm answering text messages and stuff like that. And that's a whole new conversation of boundaries with clients. But I think, when they're saying I have this many clients and I just can't go home and be with my family anymore, that's when it's time to get somebody. And I know as an insurance agent, it's hard to hand over your baby. I had a very hard time letting go of the responsibilities, because I'm like, who can ever do anything as good as I can? But your sanity, your mental health, all that fun stuff is like, once it starts getting compromised and you're exhausted and you're starting to want to, like, I'm done, that's when you need to hire. Don't wait till you burn out before you kind of go like, I'm done with the industry. And we almost got to that point. I almost got to it. And thankfully the right person came at the right time, but I wouldn't wait as long as we have, so.
A piece of advice I've heard for a long time, but probably did not take seriously. And I think a lot of agents too are thinking about how can I save a little bit of money? Oh, I can do that work myself. Is most business owners don't hire soon enough. They wait till they're at that breaking point before they hire somebody, and by then it takes an investment of time to catch that new person up to speed to be able to do 75% as good as you, so that you could let them run with it and improve and learn on the job. And so don't wait till you're beyond capacity, because it's going to require an investment of time and patience, letting your new hire make mistakes and learn from it. So yeah, hiring in the off season is probably better. But yeah, when you're at 80% capacity, maybe that's the time to evaluate.
I love that. Proactively planning and preparing the solutions, right? So you don't have to end up at the breakdown point, although I think we've all been there at some points. I know Elle and I have as well. And so, but hey, it facilitates change when it's kind of the only option too. But yes, it definitely is a little easier on your stress and sanity if you can pre-prepare for that to avoid that, right? So, but and I'm sure that's lessons you guys get to share, so others don't have to go through the same steps on some of these areas as well, right? It's fun to give back and help others not have to go through those situations, as they're not always the most fun to be in, right? And so tell me a little bit, Brandon, like on how I know you guys are helping train new team members to sell ACA compliantly, and how do you keep that same care about the brand you built the brand with, right? As a part of training these new members to sell ACA.
It's a balancing act for sure. I almost have to compartmentalize and just spend time over here and then go back to spending time over here, because I'm constantly interacting with new agents that my downline partners are bringing on, and so they're not feeling like they're on an island with no support. I'm having conversations with them, providing value and showing them the value of working with somebody, to have somebody in their corner that they can bounce ideas off of. They're not alone, and then going over the compliance piece with them as an agent. And then here we have an office now as of this year, and hiring agents this year for the first time, like actual sales agents, to take over that role for me. It's greatly expanding our capacity as we start delegating certain aspects of our job, because you wear 9 different hats, as a business owner. And so yep. Okay, this is one less hat that I'm wearing now. So it's that agent definitely has made mistakes, came in with some bad habits, from a previous employer. So it's working through those things. And as I catch certain things being said or certain things being done, bringing them up as they happen, all right, we can't do that anymore. Recognizing the things are doing right, the things are doing good, but sandwiching that in, how can we improve? Especially compliance, all right, we cannot do that. We got to change that right away.
And, and that's challenging, right? We also don't know what we don't know. And then as far as that's why teaching and training on that compliance side and how to properly do this and breaking bad habits is so important. But, it doesn't come without its own challenges, both on the leadership and the delegation side. So yeah, what's one lesson that either of you have learned the hard way about leadership or delegation, maybe that you want to pass on?
Oh boy. It's like we have learned so much probably in the last 8 months if we have learned in the whole entirety of our business, because it was just us two for probably the longest time. I can talk to him however I felt comfortable talking, and we were able to be straightforward and honest. But when you have employees, you can't talk to you like your spouse, or it's got to be a lot different. So catching things early and not letting it go forward was probably like the biggest lesson we had to learn. And then also what we start implementing is in the interviews, highly reiterating how much compliance is important to our business, how integrity, how our clients come first. And, and we even put it into, we have like a handbook that they have to read and understand how we run business. And if you don't follow that, you're going to get corrected for it, because we are not going to handle any kind of any activity. So it's like so much we have learned that I don't even know how to package the deal. So
I'll speak from an agency owner standpoint, not just running an office. You kind of have to develop a thick skin. Just like you're going to get a lot of no's in making sales from clients to find those yeses. Not everybody's going to see the value you bring. They're going to be lured by shiny objects and want to go here or there. We've repeatedly found, though, that and just letting them go, we sometimes see people crawling back 3 months later, like the grass was not greener on the other side. And
nope, same grass.
And I've learned, like, look, we're all just trying to do what's best for our own respective families, and sometimes there's a strategic business decision. It's not personal. It's not personal against me. It's just they feel like they have a new direction they want to take, and me as a leader, like I've had to learn that it's not always about what I've done or not done. It's they're just looking out for themselves, and it's just learning to be okay with that.
I love that. And that's the thing. When you're leading teams and people, it's every day is a lesson both for them and for us, right? And so lots of stuff to continue to pick up as we go, and also as the landscape changes, which I want to talk a little bit about the changing landscape. What do you guys see coming next in the ACA space that maybe agents aren't ready for and need to get ready for?
The number one thing would be the subsidy cliff coming back. Everybody's focused on this $5 rule, and that's hardly going to apply to anybody as of right now. If those in DC decide to do something to extend the enhanced subsidies that are scheduled to expire, $0 silver plans are going to go up to $20-$30. So the $5 rule is barely going to apply to anybody unless you're selling super cheap bronze plans. This is ACA stuff, specifically. But the subsidy cliff, those who are above 400% of the poverty level would go back to not qualifying for any subsidies whatsoever. And so you're going to be facing people who they make a little bit of money, but not a lot. And they're not wealthy by any means. And suddenly being in a position where they may have to spend 40% of their income toward healthcare expenses between their premiums, their deductible and max out of pocket, especially if multiple people in the same household have to meet their max. So I think that is the biggest issue that people are just not paying attention to right now.
That's big. It's 40%. Yeah, that's a lot. So, and so those are a few things to keep eyes on. And then also, how are you preparing your business and team for like stricter CMS compliance? And do you see it getting stricter over the upcoming, next 6 months and year?
I know for us, for our team, it's July, and we're already talking about how we're going to reach out to our clients. And we're not going to wait till November 1st to finally say, hey, it's open enrollment, sign up. We're going to start early. And, there's companies like Aetna leaving the market, so we have to notify those clients. We have to make sure we're going through our book of business and seeing like who falls off the 400%. So we have to gear some of our stuff towards that. So it's like we're not going to wait till like November 1st to start reaching out and to let people know of the changes of everything that's happening. And, I think it's kind of going pre-Biden, some people say. But, it's just we have to adapt and be ready for the change. Don't wait till November 1st to suddenly like figure out what you're going to do. Do it now and get your game plan together.
I think
I love that.
anyone who's had some longevity in this industry, I don't think is freaking out as much as some of these newer agents who got into this business where everything is free for clients. You never have to collect payment information. You're not even really selling. You're just kind of order taking. Who doesn't want a free policy where it's free to go to the doctor and free to fill your prescriptions and $5 to go to urgent care? Like, who doesn't want that? So that it's been easy, very easy. Things aren't, I don't think, necessarily getting harder than they were before COVID. They're just kind of going back to how things always were. And anyone who actually values what we do, most of them don't have a problem paying $20 or $30 a month for a really good plan. So it's going to be shifting gears a little bit. Maybe your conversations are a little bit longer. You're collecting payment information now, most likely. But more than likely, CMS is just moving the target. There's going to be other ways to keep helping people year round. And it's just a matter of figuring out, okay, who can I help and how can I help them? They're moving the target. They're closing down some hatches, but you got some people that think the whole industry is just gonna fall apart, and I'm like, these people still need help. Like, health insurance is confusing, and some agents and agencies may choose to get out of the business. Maybe however they were doing business is no longer profitable, perhaps. But for the rest of us, we can keep on moving forward if we just kind of look at this objectively and think of the long term here, not just what does things look like in the next 6 months, but after 2026, like, things are going to get easier again. Like, just keep the long game in perspective here. This is a long game business. This is not for short-term gain, and it was never meant to be a get-rich-quick scheme. This is a people business. There's real people behind these policies we're selling, and if you let your clients know that you care, they'll take care of you. Not only by renewing year after year with you, so you can just keep building your book, they'll bring you referrals and just continue to build your book that way.
I feel like that goes well into, that you talk about helping clients understand their plans and, and why is education so central to your process and to everything. I mean, not only with the agents you're helping with, but to your clients as well. In an ever-changing landscape and a true relationship-focused business, like you just said.
I take a more consultative approach to sales.
Yeah.
I am not a natural salesperson. I got good at sales through repetition of doing thousands of sales calls. But
That'll do it.
But, I was not a natural salesperson. It took practice. It took time. It took just kept doing it. And, it kind of came natural. And then part of it is just being knowledgeable. If you're not a natural salesperson, you becoming super knowledgeable about what you do will bring confidence into the conversation. The client will see that you know what you're talking about. They'll see your confidence. They'll see that you're an expert. And that by itself can help overcome a little bit of a lack in the sales department. I don't push hard for sales. I mean, first of all, if I'm offering somebody a $0 plan where it's $0 to see a doctor, $0 to fill a prescription, and they don't want it, I'm asking myself, it can't be me. Like there's something else going on here.
Yeah, no, I think that's an automatic yes. So,
yeah, early on in our business, it's like some of the people that complain about the things that they do now. I'm like, this was from the dawn of time. Some of the complaints, like they got signed up for a $0 bronze plan, and they had at the time a $6,900 deductible, and they couldn't pay any of their doctor stuff. So it's just like educating the client that you do qualify for other benefits. So it's just something that you learn and grow with. And that's how we decided to approach our business. And that's how we grew our business, because they learned to trust us, that we have their best interests at heart, and we're not going to give them something for our pockets. We have lost money and not gotten paid for our business because we did what was best for the client too. So, and that's where a lot of agents get confused on sometimes.
yeah, I mean, doing what's best for your clients and the relationships, that is the long-term game, right? And at the end of the day, that's what agents should be doing. And the ones that are going to be in business a long time and build a really big agency or impact, then that's what they do, is through relationships, right? And so we're always learning new things. We're teaching those new things. We're developing skills. So what's one overlooked skill AC agents need to master if they want to thrive long-term, in your opinion?
In my opinion, they need to be comfortable being a student and continuing to learn, never stop learning. I can say after 10 years of being in just the ACA niche of this industry, I'm still learning every year. There's always something new coming. Changes keep happening too, so it's a lot to keep up with, but it's just, there's always more you can learn. And the more you do, the more you can help others, not just clients, but your fellow agents too. There's just so much. We're quick to point out when new plans drop, oh, you got to read the fine print, because it's amazing what you find. You start selling this policy to everybody thinking it's the best thing, and then you read the fine print, and it's nothing like what you thought.
And I think for me, it's more of, don't get caught up with how you always did something. That's a lesson that we had to learn a lot, is I've always done it this way. And if you don't learn how to grow and adapt to the changing environment in the industry, or to technology, or even how you run your business, it really slows your business down. So I think, and that's something that we see a little bit with agents, is that they prefer to do it just this one way. I prefer to do it by paper and pen. And I'm like, it can only get you so far, in the day and age of technology, so.
Love that. I mean, what you mentioned about continuing to level up and learn and progress. And I think that's, I think the whole industry could take that into advisement of not being stuck the way things were done, and moving into the way things, really should be done now, and making it easier for for clients, making it easier for agents to help their clients. And what does that even look like in today's method? And especially as things start rising up like AI, right? Not rising up, hopefully to take over and kill us all, but hopefully to help us better serve our clients to stay healthy, right? But, I still say please and thank you to mine just in case, right? So, it doesn't hurt to be overcautious, right? So, but yeah, I mean, and one final question for you guys, and we'd look forward to having you guys back for more for sure. But if you guys could go back to year one, and let's go back to the beginning, and this is a lot of agents probably listening to this, or kind of there themselves, what would you go back and whisper to yourself, back at the beginning?
You want to go first?
No, I'm gonna hear your answer first.
Smart.
I would say be patient. It's too easy to compare yourself to someone who's been in business 10 years longer than you. You can't do that to yourself. Give yourself some grace. Like if you just started, it takes time to build. It takes time to learn. It takes time to not just grow the income, and the income can be really good, but take the time, invest the time needed, invest in yourself, in your business to learn, but be okay with things taking a little bit of time. Be patient, because it can happen for you too. Don't get caught up in feeling jealous of what they have. Instead, look at that and be inspired of what's possible for yourself.
All of that, not getting caught into the fact is that comparison kills, right? And so we're each on our own race, and that's also where the coming in and helping each other versus hey, competition, or I can never get there, is so important. So thanks, Brandon. Charity, what do you got?
I like that one quite a bit, and
he stole it from you. I know it, right?
I knew it was my idea the first time. No, because we did this whole journey together, so it's like our answers are hardly ever different. The patience is the biggest thing, because when we first starting it over with no clients, no business, it's like, yeah, you want to rush and have an income, but you had to be patient. You had to make the calls. You had to grind. You had to stay up till like 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning to work on something. So I would have whispered myself it would be worth it. But at the time I didn't know if it did or not. So it's definitely worth it. So
that's good. Telling yourself it's worth it at the beginning, so you push through what you need to do to get to the other side. So that's awesome, guys. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to join us. And for those that are listening that want to follow you guys, plug into what you're doing, connect, where's the best place for them to connect with you guys?
Best place to connect with us is on Facebook, ACA Training Ground Facebook group.
Oh, and then we also have a course that we have developed ourselves on acatrainingground.com. We literally put 10 years of our knowledge into there, and we're still developing more courses in it. So that's definitely a resource for sure.
I heard it's the best out there. So guys, if you're listening, definitely go check it out. Hop in with Charity and Brandon. Gather all that 10 years of knowledge right in one place, way up quick, so you guys can avoid the obstacles, push through them, and progress faster, guys, with the help, support, and mentorship like we talked about. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Guys, once again, you guys can get those links of how to connect with them, as well as the show notes and all the goodies if you guys go to jumpstartgonow.com/podcast. And thank you guys for joining us. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Modern Insurance Agent Podcast.